There is no life without hardship, only souls that resist being broken by it. The Stoics understood this not as a theory, but as a lived truth. Life, unpredictable and indifferent, will test every edge of us, through pain, loss, confusion, betrayal. Yet from these trials rises the very thing we seek, strength forged not in ease, but in clarity. This empowerment in the face of adversity is what Stoicism offers, inspiring us to face life's challenges with courage and resilience. The Stoic path begins with a simple division: what is within my control, and what is not? It is in that question that the ground stabilizes. The world may swirl with storms, but the self, rightly trained, stands unmoved. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the margins of war, did not ask the world to soften. He asked himself to remain clear. Seneca, in the court of a tyrant, did not seek safer ground, he sought deeper roots. Epictetus, born into bondage, found a freedom unchained from circumstance. This is the foundation: to govern one's inner life while the outer world shifts, to choose response over reaction, to carry composure like a cloak, not to impress but to endure. In the Stoic sense, virtue is not moral superiority, it is resilience given shape. It is courage in the face of chaos. It is justice amid decay. It is wisdom drawn from adversity. And it is temperance, the steady refusal to be ruled by impulse or indulgence. These enduring principles of Stoicism provide a reassuring and grounding framework for navigating life's challenges. Life offers no exemptions from hardship, but it does offer choices. In each moment, especially the hard ones, we are invited to choose who we will be. To act not from pain, but from principle. Not from fear, but from understanding. From this soil grows a new kind of power that needs no audience, no applause. A quiet, firm power that whispers, "No matter the blow, I remain." This is the Stoic foundation, not escape, not denial, but engagement. The work of living fully and deliberately, guided by what cannot be taken, our character. A quiet crisis haunts the modern age, not of politics or profit, but of self. A more personal struggle unfolds beneath the noise of headlines and the glare of ambition. Especially among young men, the question lingers like smoke: who am I, and what should I become? In a world that shouts its answers, be more, own more, win more, Stoicism offers something quieter, but far more enduring. It does not prescribe identity, it asks us to forge one. Not from the materials handed to us, titles, praise, image, but from what we know to be true when the world is not watching. This emphasis on choice and agency in shaping our own identity is what empowers us and gives us a sense of control in a world that often feels overwhelming. Stoicism teaches not repression, but recognition. Emotions are not enemies, they are signals. They rise, they swell, they demand, but they do not command. To be Stoic is not to silence these voices, it is to seat them at the table, but not let them steer the ship. It is the discipline of acknowledging the wave without drowning in it. This struggle is intensified in an era where roles shift beneath our feet, where masculinity, once rigid, now feels fluid, and where strength is too often mistaken for dominance and vulnerability too often mistaken for weakness. The Stoics did not tether identity to fashion or expectation. They grounded it in virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are not labels, they are choices. And they do not age. To walk this path is not to escape emotion, but to channel it. To feel deeply, but to act wisely. To let rage rise and not lash out. To feel fear and still move forward. To know grief and not be undone. This is not a call to detachment, but to mastery. Not through suppression, but through understanding. Not by turning away from the self, but by turning toward it with clarity and honesty. The Stoic learns to ask not "how should I feel," but "what should I do?" And in that doing, identity reveals itself. It is not always easy. Sometimes the crowd pulls hard. Sometimes solitude stings. But the Stoic knows that integrity is not always echoed, and that silence does not mean absence. He walks with fewer certainties, but deeper convictions. He does not need a nameplate to know who he is. In this world, loud, fast, insistent, the Stoic becomes something rare. Not perfect, not immune, but grounded. And that groundedness is not a fixed position, it is a practice stance. One returned to, again and again, whenever emotion tempts chaos, whenever identity feels thin. The struggle is not a sign you failed. It is proof you are alive. Let it shape you. Not into who they want, but into who you already are, when everything else is stripped away. From this path, a set of principles emerges, not commandments, not slogans, but quiet truths lived out through pressure, presence, and patience. Here are 12, grounded in practice. Principle 1. Endure with dignity. Pain comes. Suffering visits. This is the nature of life, not its mistake. To endure with dignity is not to harden or retreat, it is to remain upright, even when the world bends you low. Dignity is not given by birth or stolen by fate. It is a posture, built moment by moment in the face of what you cannot change. To the Stoic, hardship is not humiliation. It is invitation. It calls forth the strength already buried in you, the calm that cannot be bought, the clarity that isn't loud, the courage that arrives without applause. Marcus Aurelius wrote through grief, maintaining his composure and dignity even in the face of personal loss. Epictetus taught from a broken body, demonstrating the power of the mind over physical suffering. Seneca counseled under threat, showing how to maintain inner peace in the midst of external turmoil. None escaped pain, but all met it on their own terms. Endurance is not passivity. It is discipline. The refusal to be shaped by bitterness. The decision to meet suffering with grace. And dignity is its expression, not a grand speech, but a quiet refusal to collapse. Enduring with dignity does not mean accepting suffering without trying to change it, but rather facing it with a sense of self-respect and inner strength. When you suffer, ask not why, but how. Not why me, but how now. Your dignity lives in the answer, not in words, but in the strength to stay whole while the world trembles around you. Principle 2. Question the shine. The world dazzles with promises, more success, more status, more things to show and fewer reasons to ask. It trains the eye to admire the surface, to confuse attention for respect, and luxury for value. But the Stoic looks beneath. Not out of cynicism, but from a commitment to see what is true. The shine is often hollow. Praise fades. Applause moves on. What looked like gold cracks like plaster. To question the shine is to pause before the purchase, before the chase, before the compromise. It is to ask, will this matter in 5 years? Does this serve who I'm becoming? Virtue is not loud. Wisdom wears no crown. The Stoic seeks the real, not the flattering, not the fashionable, but the firm. Questioning is not doubt, it is discernment. It is the muscle that guards you against being sold a life you didn't choose. When the world claps, ask if it's for something that lasts. When it offers more, ask what you'll trade to take it. The shine may be bright, but it is not always light. Principle 3. Guard the gates of identity. You are not the sum of others' labels. You are not the reflection of their applause or their scorn. Identity, in the Stoic sense, is not something granted. It is built, from principle, from practice, from the slow shaping of your character beneath the weight of real choices. Guarding the gates means knowing what enters. Not every opinion deserves entry. Not every standard belongs inside. The world will name you, success, failure, too much, not enough. Let them speak. But let their words stay at the threshold. You decide what defines you. Not your title. Not your income. Not your past. But your action, your intention, your presence when no one sees. To be known by others is nothing. To know yourself, truly, steadily, that is everything. The gates must be watched. Not to shut the world out, but to let the right things in. Let virtue enter. Let wisdom shape. Let kindness carve the edges. But close the door to noise, to vanity, to shame dressed as advice. What you let in shapes what you become. Guard that space like your life depends on it, because it does. Principle 4. Recognize the chains of dependency. There are visible chains, iron, heavy, imposed by force. But the more dangerous ones are subtle. They come wrapped in compliments, in comfort, in convenience. They bind not the body, but the will. They are the quiet dependencies, on praise, on routine, on being liked, on being seen. The Stoic recognizes dependency not by how it looks, but by how it moves. Does it decide for you? Then it owns you. Do you panic when it's gone? Then it's your master. Freedom is not living without pleasure, it's living without being ruled by it. You can enjoy what the world offers without worshipping it. Drink the wine, but don't need it. Accept the compliment, but don't depend on it. Use wealth, don't cling to it. Live with love, but don't make it a hostage of your peace. To be free is not to be untouched, but to remain whole when things are taken. The Stoic walks lightly, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows that clinging is the beginning of fear, and fear is the death of freedom. Principle 5. Loyalty to principles, not personalities. The world celebrates charisma, follows volume, bows to presence. But the Stoic bows only to principle. He does not serve charm. He serves what is just, what is right, what is steady through time and trial. Personalities fade. They err. They betray. But principles, virtue, justice, courage, wisdom, do not. Loyalty to these is not flashy. It will not always be popular. But it is the only loyalty that won't shame you in hindsight. When the crowd changes, when a leader stumbles, when a voice you admired loses its shape, return to principle. Let it guide you, not out of stubbornness, but clarity. You are not here to follow. You are here to live rightly. The Stoic does not need a hero. He needs a compass. And the truest compass points not to fame, not to friendship, not to fear, but to what remains good, even when no one is watching. Principle 6. Walk alone if you must. There are seasons when the crowd moves in one direction, and you must walk in another. Not because you desire solitude, but because you refuse to be untrue. The Stoic does not seek isolation but is not afraid of it. To walk alone is to trust your footing more than the echo of others. It is to hold your posture when your position costs you applause. It is not bitterness. It is bravery, not superiority, but commitment. There will be times when silence answers silence, when your stance is misunderstood, and when you lose not just comfort but company. But what you keep, your integrity, is worth more than all that leaves. Solitude tests you. It strips the borrowed voices, the convenient affirmations. And what remains, if you've walked with care, is something clean. Something whole. Not lonely, but alone. Not adrift, but anchored. It is better to walk a narrow path in truth than to run in step with a crowd headed nowhere. The Stoic walks not to be seen, but to be honest. And if he must do so alone, so be it. Principle 7. Embrace pain as a teacher. Pain does not arrive empty-handed. It brings instruction. Not in the language of comfort, but in the tongue of fire, testing the edge of your patience, your pride, your preparedness. The Stoic does not flinch from it. He listens. Not to the ache, but to what it reveals. Pain teaches what pleasure hides. It shows you your boundaries, what you think you cannot endure, but often do. It shows you your attachments, what you cannot lose without trembling. And it shows you your illusions, what you thought was secure, stable, deserved. To embrace pain is not to desire it. It is to stop running from it, to turn toward it with steady eyes and ask, "What are you here to show me?" The answer may not come swiftly or gently, but it will come, through the grief, the loss, the wound that refuses to close. Marcus wrote through sorrow, Epictetus taught through suffering, and Seneca reflected from exile. Their pain did not make them less stoic, it made their stoicism real. Without trial, virtue is theory. Through trial, it becomes strength. So when pain knocks, don't slam the door. Open it. Let it in. Sit with it. Learn from it. And when it leaves, as all pain eventually does, you will remain. Not untouched, but transformed. Not defeated, but defined. Principle 8. Trust slowly, release swiftly. Trust is not a posture, it is a risk. And risks deserve consideration. To place your trust in someone is to extend a piece of your inner life into their care. That is not a gesture to make lightly. The Stoic gives trust with thought, not suspicion. Slowly, not cynically. And when that trust is broken, he releases it, not with rage, but with resolve. To trust slowly is to honor your peace. To test the shape of someone's character before resting your hand in theirs. It is not fear. It is discipline. You are not made noble by trusting everyone, you are made wise by trusting well. But when the breach comes, when the lie is spoken, the action made clear, do not linger. Do not beg a dead trust to breathe again. Let it go. For what is no longer worthy of your faith must no longer hold your time. Release swiftly. Not out of coldness, but clarity. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself. There is no virtue in clinging to what wounds you. The Stoic loves with openness, but guards with discernment. And he never lets betrayal sink him deeper than necessary. Grieve, if needed. But then move on. Let loyalty be your gift, not your leash. Principle 9. Resist the sweet poison of flattery. Praise is pleasant. It lifts. It affirms. But unchecked, it corrupts. It feeds the ego like sugar, sweet, addictive, ultimately weakening. The Stoic hears praise with open ears and steady posture. He does not shrink from it, nor does he chase it. He lets it pass through him like wind. Flattery is not feedback, it is a tool. Often used not to honor you, but to disarm you. To coax you into agreement, sway your judgment, and soften your vigilance. And if you do not notice the hand behind it, you may be led where you did not intend to go. To resist flattery is not to reject kindness. It is to separate encouragement from manipulation. It is to remember that your worth is not decided by others' words, but by your own actions. The Stoic measures himself by what he does when no one is watching. When no one is clapping. When the silence asks, was that enough? Be grateful for honest recognition. But do not depend on it. Be aware of praise that grows too frequent, eager, or calculated. Let your compass remain internal, fixed on virtue, not applause. You are not what they say about you. You are what you do when their voices fade. Principle 10. Remain a student of yourself. The unexamined life is not just unwise, it is unrooted. It drifts. It reacts. It repeats. To be Stoic is to study the self not as a fixed identity, but as a work in progress. Every day offers lessons, if you're willing to look. Every impulse reveals something about your hunger. Every mistake, a signal of misalignment. The Stoic keeps a mirror close, not to admire but to observe. He notices when anger flares, when ego swells, and when fear silences his better judgment. He asks, what drove that choice? What fear am I protecting? What virtue did I ignore? Self-study is not self-judgment. It is a craft. A discipline. It is knowing that the greatest project you'll ever shape is your mind, habits, and way of meeting the world. Remain a student. Especially when you feel most certain. Especially when others praise your path. The temptation to stop learning is strongest at the summit. But even there, the Stoic returns to the page, the question, the quiet. You are not complete. You are becoming. Stay curious, stay open, and stay willing to revise yourself, even in things long held. There is no final exam, but each day offers a test. Let your life be your lesson plan, your soul your subject, and study it well. Principle 11. Honor your past without becoming its prisoner. Your past is not your sentence, it is your soil. It holds what you've grown through, where you've failed, how you've survived. The Stoic honors this terrain without being buried by it. He looks back not to linger, but to learn. Memories are not chains unless you weld them shut. Regret is not virtue unless it leads you to live better. Your history contains patterns, but it does not dictate your future. The Stoic reviews the past with clarity. Where was I unjust? Where did I fall short of courage? Where did I rise? Honoring your past is to bow to its lessons, not illusions. It is to admit where you were wrong without believing that's where you must stay. It is to say, yes, that was me. And yet, I am not bound to repeat that version. Let the past be your teacher, not your captor. Use it. Don't dwell in it. Extract what is useful, burn what is no longer true, and carry forward what remains. You are not your history. You are your ability to rise from it. Principle 12. Build what cannot be bought. Everything external has a price. A home, a title, a following. Even admiration can be purchased with performance. But the Stoic builds where commerce cannot reach. He constructs his character like a temple, slowly, intentionally, impervious to theft. You can buy attention. You can fake wisdom. You can borrow charm. But you cannot buy virtue. You cannot rent integrity. These are built in solitude, in sacrifice, in the quiet discipline of doing the right thing when no one is counting. To build what cannot be bought is to invest in what endures. A mind trained in reason. A heart trained in compassion. A will trained to act, not on impulse, but on principle. This is wealth the world cannot touch. It cannot crash, it cannot rot, it cannot be taken in a lawsuit or stolen in a scandal, and it requires no audience. Let others chase what glitters. You build what holds. Brick by brick. Day by day. In your choices. In your pauses. In the things you say no to. That is the architecture of a flourishing life. And it begins, always, within.